Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the True Life podcast. I hope everybody's having a beautiful day. Hope you got to wake up next to the person you love. Hope the birds are singing, sun is shining, the wind is at your back. Got a great show, a great guest for you today, Tukay. Talks with Tukay. He's an entrepreneur, a father, a content creator, host of his own rapidly growing immersive digital show, Love and HipHop. He's got quite a large repertoire of guests. He's fun to talk to, and we got him here today. Tukay, thanks for being here today, man.
Hey man, I'm happy to be here. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm still out here in the 808 in Hawaii. I know you were out here for a while, but what, you took it back to Texas?
Yeah, I am in Texas right now. Actually, me and the family, we should be in Hawaii in probably 2 weeks.
What?
Yeah.
Are you coming back out here to stay? Or coming on vacation?
Oh no, to stay. My wife's parents are they from my wife is originally from Hawaii.
Okay.
So all her parents and stuff still there. So for the summertime, we like to pack the kids up and let them go out there for the summer.
Yeah, it's hard to beat the weather, man. And
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was before we got started on the show, we were talking just real briefly about this world we live in. It's a crazy time. It seems kind of scary, but it's also pretty beautiful, man. Both you and I are content creators, man. You're doing it
Right.
full time. You're making your own way. I was wondering if maybe you could share how that happened, man. Maybe you could inspire some people with your origin story.
Well, so to just start off, I'm a people's person. I
Nice.
love people. People is my passion. Like good people, bad people, all people. I just love people. So when I was staying in Hawaii, I was doing like festivals, like big events, and so this was like from 2017 until 2020, and I'm pretty sure you know what happened in 2020.
I'm with you.
Yeah, so everything come to a halt, and now I don't have no money. Like everything is just slowed up. It's hard to pull in income.
Yep.
So I just get on Facebook Live one day, and well, it's something I used to always do anyway, but now it's just a lot of people with nothing to do. So I'm seeing my views go from 30 people to probably like 300. I'm like, what in the world going on? So they were like, you need to do this more often because at the time wasn't nothing on TV. Like it's just everybody bored. So I just started doing it every morning, and then I said, you know what? I love this. I love it. I absolutely love it. So I just invested into some equipment, and I've been doing it ever since. And we'll do it probably for the foreseeable future, like for free, for pay, for whatever. I just love it.
Yeah, you're good at it. You have a really good ability to kind of anticipate how people are feeling. And that's tough to do when you're
Yeah.
on the other side of a screen. It's one thing when you're in a group and you can get the vibe from somebody when you see their eye twitches or their mouth curl up, you can sense what they're feeling about. But it's tough to do when you're trying to reach through the screen. Well, you got any tips or tricks? Like how do you manage that, man? Is it just words, or are you catching a vibe from the tone people use, or what's your technique?
It's the technique is probably lazy, but it worked for me. So my technique is, despite what your mood is, don't let you change my mood. My mood is always I want to be comedic, I want to be serious, but it gotta be somewhere we can laugh at this. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm always looking for the next opportunity to crack a joke, to lighten up even in the most darkest stories,
Yeah.
there's always a smile somewhere. And I'm looking for that one smile, even if it's one. So that's my goal, always to look for a smile. And then once you break that ice, oh, it's up. Let's laugh.
Is that a philosophy you use like in your natural relationships as well?
Yeah, I take playing very serious.
Mm.
If that make any sense. Life is way too serious to be serious. So I like to take playing. I like to take playing very serious. Like let's have fun. Like it's gonna be serious with or without. Like let's laugh. Let's crack a joke.
Yeah, I agree. Life is it's so tricky, man, especially, when COVID came, or when, people are stressing for money, or your
Mhm.
family's got you down or something like that. But there's always, like, I think life just dishes you that ping pong ball where it's going to serve you up some humor if you're willing to hit it, you know. And sometimes that thing comes at you, you hit it out of the park. Sometimes you whiff it, you know. But having the courage to be able to laugh at yourself, laugh at people, and laugh at authority is something that served me well, man. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that where it started. Once my audience found out that, hey, the same dude that's laughing at me will also crack the joke on himself.
Yeah.
That's when they understood that this is just a safe place for laughing, for having fun. Like, if I have to be the expense of the joke so you can smile, so be it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just have fun. Let's just laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You know, another thing too, it seems that I was watching through some of your clips and shows, and it seems like there's been a few times where you got to be the mediator in there. I know for me, when I'm in there and I got two people that are kind of going back and forth a little bit, it's interesting because you want to hear both sides, but then you hear people get a little bit heated. How do you know when the right time to jump in that conversation is? Is it something you would do in real time as far as on air as well, or are those things similar?
When I'm in that mediating role, it's to simply to hear out what this person is saying and hear out what this person is saying. So even if it do get like a little jumpy and it get a little hostile, I have to remember all of us are on the internet, so we aren't together. So I can like let it play out just a little bit longer. With if we was in person, I have to be stepping in between so it don't escalate.
Yeah.
So I mean, loud conversations make for interesting answers, but it get the job done though. So for the most part, I just let the people have it out, and then when I come to a conclusion or when I hear something, I'm like, hey, now you said this and you said that. Now, why would you do that? And I, try to piece it together.
Yeah. And I think you do a great job of bringing like some clarity to the conversation too, because you do bring about this. Wait a minute, you said this, and then this guy was talking about that, and a lot of the times you'll see people be like, "Oh yeah, I did say that." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if it was at a party or if you were at a family gathering, maybe all of a sudden. Sometimes you're not allowed that. You're not allowed that moment of clarity where you can, even though you could step in between them, at least digitally, you can silence them for a second and bring about some clarity there, man. On some levels, I love that about the digital world, but on the flip side of it, it's kind of a trip to not have like that felt presence of the other. You know what I mean by that? Like sometimes if you're around a group of people, like we've all been around like a girl or a guy, where, oh, that person likes us or that person doesn't like us. Like you can really feel that when you're around people. And I miss that when it's not in real life. But you think you can ever, we'll be able to bridge that gap, you think, between digital and actually being there?
Well, I'm so well diverse with humans that I can understand the wordplay. So I might can't feel it.
Right.
But I can understand, like you can understand when somebody really trying to come to a resolution versus somebody really just want to drag it out via like just using words. So maybe I'm blessed with that ability to just like understand in that moment. But I know for a lot of people, like they just don't get it, like what I'm saying, just by listening. Yeah. So I get exactly what you're saying.
I've learned that, like, I feel like I share some of that same quality, and I wish I could say. Sometimes I think I'm maybe some people are born with it, but to me it seems like it comes from tragedy, man. Like for me, I've had like a lot of, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this have had the same thing where maybe you have, like I came from my parents got divorced when I was younger, somewhat of an abusive relationship, and as a kid, when you look at that, you're able to intuitive things like, oh man, look at that look on my dad's face. Things are coming down the line right now where, man, my mom is devastated, man. I can see her about to cry. Her eyes are glassy. And as kids, we don't have that verbal skills, but we do have that emotional skill where we look at them and we see it. And then when we get older, we're able to see those things in other people, man. Do you think is it learned behavior? Is the ability to mediate between people something we learn, or is it something we're born with, or both?
It's both.
Okay.
But more than everything is your ability to want to understand another person.
I like that.
A lot of people don't care to understand at all. Like, hey, I'm the victim. I don't care about what you're going through. No. Like I like to sit back and I like to get it from both. Now I might not agree, but the understanding is key to me. So once you get to see all these verbal signs, we tend to take it to other situations. Like, okay, I remember that look. My dad used to look like that when my mama was chewing him out. So we know we mentally logged. That's why I say you have to be able to want to understand. A lot of people don't care to.
That's a great point. It does come down to wanting to understand. Like you know there's a problem and you want to solve the problem. You're not trying to win. You're like, let me figure this thing out right here. Like, I care about these people. Let me figure out what's going on versus I can just drop this one line on them and crush them. Like
crush them.
Yeah. I've seen it. Like, and I don't know about you, but I've played both those roles. And as I get older in my life, it's so much more fulfilling to be in a relationship with someone you love, whether you got kids or a significant other. It's hard sometimes, but if you can become the listener and the person who wants to solve the problem, I think that you can have better relationships throughout your life, right?
Right. Me having a wife, so difficult. By far one of the most difficult things in the world, but we have a goal. We have kids that we need to raise.
Right.
And without that, communication is important, but to me, understanding is the be all. Because I can hear what she's saying, but if I'm not understanding what she's going through or what she might be mad about, we get nowhere. I learn nothing.
Yeah.
So having that understanding it'll take me a long way. And even if she might say, hey, I want a divorce. Well, I also can use that same understanding to understand how she feel. Like, okay, maybe I pushed it too far. I understand it. So understand, I like to find the good and all, but with understanding, like, will none of that be possible without understanding?
Yeah. I love that word, man. Like I zook out on language all the time. And when I think of like the word understand, I think of me or you walking in like a basement and looking up and understanding like the foundation of it. Cause that's how it is, right? It's like when you're in a relationship or you're trying to solve a problem and you're understanding it, like you are seriously looking at the situation and trying to figure out, okay, well, how does that relationship fit there? Why is that board underneath that platform right there? And when you do it, when you look at it from that angle, all of a sudden you take like the anger out of it, you take the emotion out of it, and you're able to hear that other person. And on top of that, it took me later in life to figure this one out, but the way we interact with our wives, like that's the same way my son's going to interact with his wife. It's the same way my daughter's going to interact with her husband, man. And like, I wish I would have known that when I was younger, man.
Yeah, it's crazy that you say that because it's so true. So like my dad wasn't really around when I was growing up, but the little interactions that I did have, I remember how he handled situations. Even like I'm talking about, these probably were like 5% of my entire childhood, but I remember exactly how he handled situations with my mother. Whether it was okay, I'll take this from there to do this, or don't do that, don't do this. So these times are extremely important, even when you got them like this. So what you saying is like 100% facts, man. We are our parents. Like, we are our parents.
Yeah, I was I do a lot of I talk a lot about or lately it seems that I've been kind of finding myself in like this world of mental health. Maybe it's because I'm in Hawaii and I'm surrounded by like the soldiers out here. Maybe my dad was a veteran and I kind of grew up in like this PTSD and kind of environment. Or maybe it's COVID, man. Maybe everyone's kind of, you see the way in which people were sort of battered around or subjected to this weird kind of authority. But yeah, man, I've been doing a lot of thinking about mental health, and this conclusion that I came to is kind of what we're talking about. Like, it seems that a lot of the problems we have, whether you're George or Tukay, or a lot of the problems our parents have. And if you and I don't solve those problems, then our kids have to solve them, man. It's a weird thing to think about that as a generational level, right? It's kind of strange.
Yeah, I was speaking about mental health yesterday,
Right.
and I came to this conclusion that a lot of people didn't agree with.
Oh, what's that? Let's hear it.
That mental health is basically us feeling sorry for ourselves. I'm not speaking about mental
Right.
illnesses,
Right.
but the mental health aspect is us in our own way.
Mm,
So the minute because I suffer from mental health, but the minute I rearranged the way I thought,
right.
and I started telling myself it can always be worse,
Yeah.
that's when stuff just started to get better. Like I'm sitting here and I'm dragging myself down about this, and this person right here got it 10 times worse. Like, who am I to complain? Like, let me stop. And the minute I adopted that mindset,
Yeah.
all my mental health issues, they was tiny. It was nothing. Because I wasn't even going through the worst variation of what I was going through. Who am I to complain about that? So that changed my outlook on mental health, I think, forever. Like, seriously. So I always tell people, and like I know it's kind of hard at first, but if you start to look at it like that and get out your own way, you will notice the mental health problems become like nothing, nothing. And I am a veteran. I
Yeah.
did serve, and I suffer from PTSD, but I still have to get out my own way, and that helps.
Yeah, man. It's I remember there's a saying that people use sometimes. I use it myself too. It's all in your head. Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's sad, it's all in your head, man. And you can change the way you see the world by changing the way you think, man. And I love the way you said it. Like it is mental health. Here's how I break it down. I look at mental health as like the patterns of language we use in our own mind, right? Like
Mm.
if they say depression is being trapped in the past. Oh man, I can't believe that happened to me. Man, I can't believe that chick left me, man. You know what? If I just would have done this thing, it'd be so much better right now. Like
Kind of
that's
like regret.
depression. Yeah, exactly. And they say anxiety is being trapped in the future. Oh, I don't know what's gonna happen, man. What if
Mm.
that goes over there? But like you said, it's all in your head. You can't change the past, man. You can't. You can't worry about the future because you ain't there yet. You don't
Yeah,
know what's gonna happen. But those two places will stick you there, and you'll be paralyzed.
yeah.
You know what I mean? You just be stuck. So it's when I think about mental health with the people that I speak with, I always try to come across and let them know, look, man, you got to have healthy language patterns. And those language patterns begin inside your own mind. How are you talking to yourself, man? Are you,
Yeah,
hey, George, you're looking beautiful today. Hey, George, you're handsome. Or, hey, George, you know what? You messed up, but you'll be better next time. Because that happened, you won't do it again.
yeah,
These patterns, right?
yeah. It's kind of like a negativity is a
Yep.
vortex.
Yep.
You start saying one bad thing right here, then it leads to another one, and then it just starts to spiral downward out of control.
Yeah.
The minute you stop yourself, you're like, hey, you can do it. You got it. Could be worse.
Yep.
Keep going. Things start to get better. Like you start to take off. And
Yeah.
man, a lot of people aren't taught to be resilient. Like that's a big thing. So I preach resiliency in this household a lot because you will fall. Everybody will.
Yeah.
It's how you react to you falling. When you on that ground, are you thinking about what you're gonna do when you come back up?
Yep.
And yeah, so a lot of the mental health thing I blame on us, not mental illness. I know that is two completely different
Right.
things. But mental health, I feel like a lot of it can be alleviated if we get out our own way as people.
Yeah, I agree too. It kind of brings up this idea of addiction. I think sometimes we get addicted to that victim mentality, like all
Mm,
of a sudden people start giving us attention because something bad happened to you. And then you
hmm.
start seeking that attention, or, it's interesting how those things can affect us, and you spiral downwards. And it's crazy to think about. What's your take on addiction, be it with drugs or like a mental addiction?
The best, the best thing I think I ever done as far as addiction wise was not start.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, so I never smoked marijuana. I did any drugs. I did drink once I get in the military, but once I felt myself slipping, I still had the willpower to catch myself. But I do see what addiction has done to my community, my friends, loved ones, and like it's it's something that's hard to shake. You know what I'm saying? I look at it like it's effortlessly because I never started it. I mean, just stop. But I don't know what you battling at this moment, so I really can't speak a lot to addiction, especially when it comes to drugs. But I can only imagine what it does to the body.
Yeah.
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 How you feel about it?
Well,
Be brutally honest. I love it.
yeah. Well, I think that it is on some level. I used to think it was weakness. You know, I used to think like, oh, this person's not mentally strong enough, man. They're just weak.
Well,
But as I
kind of
yeah,
have a point with that.
yeah, you know, but I took it one level deeper, Tukay. And I went like this. I went, man, that's a pretty bold statement for me to judge someone like that, call them weak when I don't even know what they're going through. So I went from that person's weak to like, well, how do I know they're weak? And then it kind of made me think, well, it seems like they can't control themselves. And then it kind of hit me like, oh man, you know what? I'm just judging myself. Like I'm weak. You know, the only way I can see weakness in other people is I recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm like that person's weak, what I'm really saying is that like I recognize weakness in them in me. I know that's kind of like it's kind of meta, but like I used to think that people that were addicted were weak, but now I think it's maybe that no, they don't. It's more of a lack of courage in a way. And I know that sounds kind of mean.
No,
But I think it's a lack of courage.
I think you hitting right on the head,
You
George.
think so?
Yes, yes. You have to understand, like, okay, me and you, I think we kind of. I got my daughter with me.
Beautiful. She's beautiful.
We kind of handle problems the same way.
Right.
All right, go back upstairs with mama, okay? We kind of handle our problems the same way. We like to meet our problems, you know, halfway, head on.
Yeah.
But the minute you start looking for substitutes, like let's say marijuana, okay,
Right.
you would rather get high than face and conquer this problem. That is a sign of weakness. You know, I get exactly what you're saying because instead of manning up and handling this problem, you looking for a way out. You're looking for a coping mechanism.
Right.
So, what you just said wasn't entirely wrong at all, but that is a fair observation of what you would see as weakness, and I agree.
Yeah, it's like, you know, and in some ways, like, it's hard to explain, but in some ways, like, when I see other people, I see them as a mirror. So when I see someone that's weak, it's like, oh man, I see this person run into this thing because they're scared. I've been scared and I've wanted to run before, but because I saw that person, maybe I shouldn't do it. Because now you can see other people and understand the outcome of your actions, right? If you look at it from that angle.
That was, you know, that was one of the biggest reasons I never tried marijuana.
Okay.
Well, I got 7, 8, 9, 10 examples right here on why running to marijuana didn't work.
Okay.
Like, it is marijuana not a horrible drug, but it do something that I don't think that the rest of the drugs do. It causes complacency.
Mm.
And I feel like complacency has killed more dreams than probably a lot of drugs. So with everybody being so complacent, I got to see firsthand on what this drug could do to me. I got to see what alcohol could do to me. And so it was, you know, I'm like you. I can look at other people's situations and see what effect that this have on them and not want to do it at all. Because I know some of the people that these drugs was overtaking was greater people than myself. Like I held them in a higher stature than myself. Right. So if it can do that to them, I bet not mess with it. Yeah, I bet not.
Do you think it was the drug that did that to them, or did they just do it to themselves with that drug?
They definitely did it to themselves. At once upon a time, that drug wasn't a part of their life. Right. They made it a part.
Right.
Like so, the first time you chose to try this, that was you introducing this to your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I can't necessarily blame it on the drugs because you was the one that tried it.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about those relationships because I know some people that like they turn to some dirty drugs, man, and they end up living a dirty life. And I also know
Mhm.
people that turn to some drugs and dude, they got a healthy relationship with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, they and that's a weird thing to think about too, because you know when I was growing up, there was like this Dare program, or remember you got the this is your brain on drugs. They show like
Yeah,
the
do
egg
the
in there. You know
egg.
what I mean? You know, and then you see somebody that's like eating magic mushrooms, or maybe someone that smokes weed, and they're performing at this level up here, and you're like, wait a minute, how can those two things be the same? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's when I started thinking, like, okay, it is while you know drugs can be bad, anything can be bad, but what is it about this individual that's making them spiral down? It's relationships are so fascinating to me, man.
Yeah. Everybody don't have the same drive. And like,
Right, right.
so this drug gonna mix with your body a different way than it do from there.
Yep.
And I just wasn't really willing to take that risk to see how it's gonna mix with mine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I agree. I do know some people who do excellent on drugs. I mean, a functional
Yeah.
weed heads,
Right. Right.
functional coke heads.
Yep.
And I can't blame them. I mean, do what you need to, bro.
Yeah.
But everybody don't take well to them same drugs. So
Yeah.
do what you can handle, I guess.
It's like sometimes like I think power or money can be like a drug too, right? Because you can see some people get twisted in those same habits the same way they get twisted in drugs, right?
Yeah. Especially greed.
Yeah, that'll get you, man.
Greed. Yeah. I tell people all the time that the greatest how can I put this to make it make sense? The greatest thief of joy is comparison.
That's deep. I like it.
That's like me looking at you and I see your paycheck. Let's say you leave your paycheck on your drawer. I see it's say 50,000. Oh, you made 50,000 and I made 20. And I get mad because you made 50 and I made 20. You made 30 more than me. Instead of me being like, oh, he making more money than me, I need to ask myself, what did you do to obtain this other 30,000?
Yeah.
Am I willing to do what you do or did to make the extra money? See, that's what a lot of people don't do. They see you, they see themselves and wonder why.
Yeah.
Like, it's a difference why Michael Jordan was the highest paid basketball player and this person wasn't. Because Mike stayed at the gym 8 hours a day shooting free throws, working on his game, and you went home after practice. Were you willing to put in that work? No. So, comparing yourself to somebody else's situation causes them type of things like greed and money addiction and powers addiction, and that's terrible, bro. I always try to stay grounded. Always.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. I gotta write that down. I comparing yourself to other people, especially using money as like as a measuring stick, man. Like it's such a false barometer. It's such a false measuring stick, man. If this is hard for anybody listening, this is hard to do. But if you can think outside of money, like what do you love to do? What do you want to do? Just that's the thing you got to do.
That's the thing.
Money will come, right?
Listen, every time I have tried to work a job for money, I made no money. Anytime I have done everything that I love with this podcasting, or was it throwing the events in Hawaii, I made, bukus and bukus of money. It just fall on my lap. Like, hey, here goes some money. And I tell people all the time, man, listen, do what you love. Yeah. Do what you love. It's like you doing nothing. Like, I can be down here easily 8 hours a day without me knowing, because I'm loving what I'm doing. This has never worked for me. Never worked. Never. Yeah, but I tell people that all the time, man. Please do what you love, man. Stop doing what the dollar amount say, because you're gonna be always working. You're gonna be a slave to that dollar amount.
That's really well said. I know, because I lived it, man. I was a UPS driver for 26 years, man. And just, you know, and it's so easy to fall into that rhythm of like, you know what really got me, 2K, was like, a lot of people, myself included, like I became what my job was. You know what I mean by that? Like people identify who they are by what they do. It's like, oh, you're a truck driver. Okay, just end, period, stop. Like, wait a minute. No, I'm way more than that. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I'm a friend. I'm all these other things. But too many of us get caught up in that one thing that people see us as, and they want to put us in this box. And if you go out and you do something you don't like, you're putting yourself in that box, man.
Well, a lot of us get caught in there.
Yeah, it's true.
Think about what a man wants the most: a woman.
Yep.
Now, when you meet a woman, but almost before she even asks you your name, her number one question after that is gonna be, "What do you do?"
Right.
So you always want to be when somebody asks you, "What do you do?" You want to have something that can wow her or that can secure her in a form to be attracted to you. Yep. So I know people right now who one of my close friends, he's a lawyer. He hated, but he loved the wow factor and the perks of being a lawyer,
right,
more than he loved the job. So I feel like that's what he gonna do his whole life, and he just gonna retire. Like I wasn't gonna say miserably, but I know for a fact he not doing what he loved. Yeah, and that's really eating him up.
It's like relationships, man. If you're with someone and you don't love them, what are you doing there? If you get up and you go do something every day, what are you doing there? It's the same thing, man. You're gonna be in a house with something you don't love, like that. That's your job, man. Like, and it's easy to say when it's hard to do. Like if you got a family, you got a mortgage, your kid's in school, kid needs shoes, need braces. Like it's really tough just to walk away from a paycheck you're getting every month, especially if you're living paycheck to paycheck.
Oh yeah.
So I don't fault anybody for it. I was smack dab in the middle of it. But I've learned, and the reason I bring this up is because if there's a younger George or a younger 2K listening to this, I would hope that you would face the fear before I did at the age of 48. Because if you begin facing the fear, if you begin walking towards this thing you're afraid of, your life will open up for you. But you got to have the courage to do it.
Yeah, I got lucky, George.
Okay, how so?
I got my wife, she she like all the guys are babysitting the kids and all the women are going out. So it's like 6 of us. And at this time I'm younger. I think I'm 25 at this time. So, all of us, we meet over here. So it's kind of like a guy's night in while the girls' night out. So all of us over here, and these are way older guys than me. So they got to talking to me. They was like, "Hey man, don't never settle, do what you love. Always have fun." They was telling me exactly what they wanted, and I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking like these guys are, like successful. They, they family men, and all they could think about was their regrets. And I was thinking like, when I'm that age, I don't want to be thinking about the stuff that I could have done.
Yeah.
And if them men would have never sat me down and talked to me, I'm pretty sure that was my future. So when I say I got lucky, and I echo what you just said, don't wait until you 48. Don't wait until you later on in life. Go for it now. Now ain't nothing stopping you but you. Go for it now.
That is well said, man. In some reason, do you think that maybe that's what inspired, like that's why you're doing what you're doing now? In some ways, you're doing what you love, but you're also kind of giving that same speech those men gave to you, but you're giving it on a daily.
Oh yeah. I was always kind of ambitious, but I didn't, because my father wasn't really around. I didn't know what a father was.
Right.
So my perception of a dad was everything I seen on TV. I thought I was supposed to have a 9-to-5 job, come home with the kids, get yelled at, drink a beer, and just like that's what I really thought being a dad was. And I had to figure that out, that everything is not cookie cutter. Like it don't have to be like this. So that's when I started to make decisions. A lot of them the wife didn't like, but once she seen the payoff, she was on board. So so it was cool. But I always echo them sentiments. Like, go for it, bro. Go for it.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about. I like the idea that you brought up about cookie cutter. Like there's all these preconceived ideas that you can have that
Hmm.
society will give to you. You could be a lawyer, you could be a doctor, you could be a truck driver, you could
Hmm.
be they have all these things they pre-made for you. But the best things are the things that you want to do. And it's just weird how, you know, if you just have the courage to go outside that box and I think something too is believing you can do it. That's a hard one, man.
Yeah.
Believing you can do it, right?
Well, it's kind of hard, George, because like when
Yeah.
you think about it, like we go to school all this time, and like school to me need to be reformed,
Here, here.
man. Because like you gotta think about it, like school has been the same way since literally for how long now? Like everything has moved on, but the education system.
Yep.
I feel like we need to stop trying to force all these subjects. Like me, like no matter how much I do math, I'll never be good at. But when it came to something like public speaking or social science, I needed the teacher to be like, "Hey, this is your strength.
Yeah.
We still gonna work on the weaknesses, but your strength is this. So you're
Yep.
most likely to succeed in this." And that's what they tailor my curriculum around, so I can really be successful in life, versus trying to put these cookie cutter
Right.
ideals in me. And I feel like if school were to have that reform, we'll get more productive citizens that way.
Yeah, that's really well said. There's a famous study by like this Russian guy. His name was Pavlov. And what he did is he trained these dogs to salivate. Like, so he would put food in front of them and then he would blow a whistle. And he kept doing that until one day he wouldn't even have to put the food in front of the dogs. He'd just blow the whistle and the dogs knew it was time to eat. So they started salivating.
Yeah.
And those same methods that guy used are used on kids in school today. Like
Wow.
we train them, man. Like think about it. You go and you sit in a class and you have an authority figure stand up in front of you. And what happens? Bells and whistles, man. Hey, okay, go to your next class. Go to the next one. Oh, you need a pass to go to the bathroom. You better ask authority if you can go to the bathroom,
Wow.
And so like no wonder why the kids today aren't performing at their best. No wonder they don't believe in themselves, because they've gone through 12 years of this conditioning
Yeah.
practice where you have to do these things a certain way. And I think it speaks volumes of why there was a saying with the school I went to, like the A and B students make great managers, but the C and D students, those make the best leaders, because those are
Yeah.
the kids in class that were like, this is bullshit, man. I don't believe any of this. I'm going to
Yeah.
do this other thing over here. But someone like a doctor, and God rest them, I love all the doctors out there, but a doctor goes to school from the age of like 4 to 27. I mean, if you just sat in a class for 27 years, what do you learn except how to take orders, man? You don't think
Right.
critically. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. Like I was a C, sometimes D student,
Right.
and it wasn't because I was dumb or couldn't obtain information. I was just uninterested. It just
Right.
wasn't for me.
Right.
Like I get what y'all are saying, but this is not interesting. Now, when you put something like history, I love history.
Right.
I love history. I love social and political science. So when it comes to stuff like that, I was all in. A student, don't worry about it. I got it. But what you said was exactly right, man. I feel like you almost being literally trained from school to work.
Yeah.
You do the 8 to 5, and then you start getting up for work. You go to work at 8 and you get off at 5, and like, oh my God. So
Yeah.
it's ironic that school is 8 hours a day and work is the typical work day is 8 hours. So yeah. So I'm glad you say that. I'm gonna have to look into that study.
Yeah. Like the obedient workers is what they're training. You know what I mean? They're training the obedience into you and the critical thinking out of you, man. They want people just smart enough to listen to all the instructions, but not to question them.
Not to question it, right? Yeah. They always say that when I used to work, they pay us just enough to make it back to work.
Yeah.
Pay us just enough to make it back to work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I've always had a problem with authority. Not that like I didn't respect people that were in leadership positions. Not that I didn't have respect for people that know what they're doing, but just someone telling me what to do without explaining why it's the right thing to do,
Right.
And like, I'm all for working together. I'm all for collaborating, but I want a seat at the table, man. I think I've earned that. And
Right.
I think, and that goes not when I say me, I think us, like everybody that's participating in something. Hey, look, your voice should be heard. I don't care if he's right or wrong. That person's voice should be heard, right?
Right. Right.
So,
Now I understand that, especially that's why the military wasn't a long-term thing for me.
Okay.
It's crazy because that what made me successful in the military.
Sure.
My defiance. I was a great team leader because of my ability to think outside the box while being in the field. But on the flip side, when we in garrison, and so garrison, we call it, that's like the workplace.
Okay.
It's like the office. So when we at the office, the same thing that made me good while we was in the field, keeping the people alive, they hated it in the office because why are you questioning us? It wasn't that I was questioning authority. Like, no, I'm questioning you because I feel like it's a better solution for what you're trying to do.
Right.
And even if I am wrong, like you should want to be voiced. You should want fresh ideas to, be coming to the table. So I'm with you. I don't like authority, but I'm not disrespectful to it. It just I always feel like it could be an easier way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something to be said about, if there's a problem and the person below is asking you a question, like that person should be somewhat celebrated because that person cares about the outcome. You know what I mean? Like they're not trying to cut you down or say you're dumb or question your authority. Like, hey, what about this? Oh, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Otherwise we would have failed, And I think it speaks volumes of the character of the leaders that try to squash that. Like they don't want that in there. I don't know. I go off on those tangents sometimes where I had I'll give you an example. I had a recent sit down meeting with some people when I was a UPS driver, and we sat in this meeting and we're in there talking, and they showed me these different set of numbers. They said, you know what, George, here is your performance numbers of what happened. And I'm looking at them and they go, you're just not performing at the highest level that you should be. Right. And I'm looking at their numbers and I go, oh, it seems to me that you guys didn't measure all the variables. Like you've got 3 columns. You have like the stops per hour, the amount of time I was out, and the break that I took. But what about the road conditions? What about how heavy the boxes were? What about the traffic that was out there? Shouldn't those be in the equation? Yeah. And they just stare at me.
And this,
yeah.
And for a lot of the reasons, that's kind of them saying they don't care.
That's exactly what they're saying. And that's what I was saying back to them. Like, yeah, I know you don't care. Yeah. But what are you going to say to that? You got nothing.
Yeah, and so you asking all the right questions, but right. Yeah, I remember this one time, George. This actually made me quit one of my favorite jobs.
Okay.
I was working retail, and I love retail because once again, it's people.
Right.
So my manager pulled me in the back, and she had a worksheet of my production from the previous year.
Right.
And so I get to see how much I made the company. I made the company over $1 million in sales. She was like, hey, you did such a great job. We're going to give you a raise. The raise was 1/4. I said, yeah, I'm putting in my 2 week notice. Right. What? I made you $1 million in sales, and the best you could have did was 1/4. So recognizing self-worth.
Yeah, great point.
Recognizing self-worth, but not overvaluing yourself neither. Because a lot of folks will overprice themselves way too fast. Right. So I always try to check the market. And my way of checking the market was looking at my other co-workers. And they weren't even, they was like barely $100,000. And I was like, man, I could be making this money for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was cool. I love that job. I love that job so much, but I had to want more so I can do more. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So sometimes I think that these examples we're talking about are like a good introduction into like self-awareness. Like, cause you wouldn't even know you made that company that much money, or I wouldn't even know that those guys were rating me on a scale that was lacking, columns, unless we became aware of it.
Right.
Like, oh, look at this thing. Oh man, I didn't even know that. And sometimes that self-awareness is what allows you to be free, or taking it back to the beginning of our conversation, allow you to not have that the negative loop talk in your mind. You know what I mean? When you start becoming aware of what is possible, when you start becoming aware of what you've already accomplished, man. Like, what is your take on self-awareness?
It's sometimes, man, like you be so caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
Or you so caught up in the grind that you don't take that time out to recognize yourself. That's a really hard one, because even now I still kind of do that. I'm aware of who I am and what I can do, but sometimes I don't understand what I'm doing until a peer who in the same field tell me, like, hey man, I don't know how you do this show. Like, you working all the boards and you doing this and you the talent and you talking to this person and that person. I didn't know it was that hard until somebody who tried to do it told me. So self-awareness a lot of times come from other people. So I'm still trying to get a gauge on self-awareness. I really can't speak too much on that right now.
Yeah. Sometimes, the way people see us make us aware of who we are. They talk about our traits. We get back to that idea of our relationships being like a mirror of who we are. And that's a huge compliment when someone says, like, man, Tukay, how you doing all this? Like, you're talking to everybody, you're trying to anticipate the content, you're listening, you're anticipating, you got your kid over here, you got 12 things going on. How you do that? And you're like, I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
I just do.
Yeah, I don't know. I never even noticed it. Like,
right. Yeah. But at that moment, then you're aware of it. You're like, yeah, I am doing all that. Man, I could probably do 4 other things on top of that. And all of a sudden, it's like when you're ratcheting something, you get that last click, and it boom gets right into place. You're like, oh, okay, now I figured it out. I am doing this. I am a podcaster. Right. I am a professional now. Like I was the whole time, but now I realized it. And that can have a radical shift on the way you see yourself when you get to hear other people talk about you in a way like that. It can change. It can be like a paradigm shift, man.
Right. Yeah. No, it really was, because you don't, like, it's a lot of stuff behind this camera. Like, I got a 3-camera setup, a board, and when I have talent on, you have to listen, and I have to talk and be funny, and then I got the comment section. It's so much happening, and I'm just going with the punches. I'm just thinking this is what it is.
Yeah.
But when somebody make you aware of what you're doing, you just don't, like, oh wait, dang, this is kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy. And it is a compliment when once you get told that.
Yeah. Sometimes I think it's like dancing. Like, when you're just at a place, you're dancing by yourself and you're paying attention. Yeah. And then all of a sudden when people start looking at you, you're like, oh man, better watch this move over here or something, Yeah. Get all embarrassed. Oh shoot, man. Are people watching? But yeah, man, it's interesting to think about. But I don't know. Tukay, I'm coming up on an hour right here, man. I gotta say, I love talking to you, man. This has been really fun. I hope we can do more of them, man.
Oh yeah, man. Anytime. This all I do.
Okay.
This all I do. Anytime you need me, I'm here for you, man.
Okay, man. Well, before I let you go though, where can people find you? What do you got coming up, and what are you excited about?
I'm excited about waking up tomorrow. Just living life, man. Seriously, I am, man. Like, I just take it one day at a time, bro. And that's just my goal, just to be happy. But if you're looking for me anywhere, you can find me on all social medias. Love and HipHop, LOVE and HipHop everywhere. And I'm pretty sure I'll pop up.
Yeah. I got the YouTube link down below, but he's also got Instagram, Facebook. He's on all the major socials. Check out his show, man. Last time I checked, you were running at least 2 a day. Is that still true?
Still true. Sometimes 3, sometimes 4. You just never know, man. Like, it's a lot. So today, this my second show today.
Okay.
I know for sure got one more tonight. So yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, hang on, Tukay. I'm going to talk to you for 1 second after this, but I'm going to hang up with the audience right here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out on the TrueLife podcast today. I hope your day is going amazing. I hope that you choose to see yourself for the beautiful person that you are and know that you can conquer anything if you're willing to have the courage to try. So that's all we got for today, ladies and gentlemen. Aloha.